concerned that not enough people would come. So I'm glad that I have to admit that we were wrong.
Our nation had been attacked by terrorists, and our fellow innocent countrymen and women mercilessly slain. 9/11 was not just an attack on our soil. It was an attack on the ideals and values of a great nation. As the news continued to flow, my heart continued to break for the unquenchable bloodlust unfolding across the ocean.
We took this very seriously, very personally, because I couldn't imagine the horror. I couldn't imagine my own children, my own grandchildren, being taken from us, from their homes, in such a barbaric, savage way. And I can't believe the horror that Israeli families are now suffering. Over 2 million Arabs live in Israel, are Israeli citizens. They have the right to vote. They have health care. They have education. They have all the rights and benefits the same as Israelis, the same as Jews who are Israeli citizens. This war is between Israel and Hamas. This war is very basic. It's between good and evil.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce Pastor Andrew Wommack, Andrew, you are popular, founder of Andrew Wommack Ministries and Charis Bible College.
Praise God. Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to get to support Israel. Man, I am 100% for Israel, and I represent all of our employees. We got 1,200 employees up in Woodland Park. We got 1,200 students there and 8,000 students worldwide, and we happen to be holding a performance today, or there would be 1,000 more people here. And so I had to skip out. Hopefully I can be back by intermission. But we are definitely in support of Israel. I tell you, I believe that God has blessed this nation. Of course, being a Christian, all of our roots go back to Israel and how they came. And man, we are against the brutal attacks. I believe it was nothing but terrorism that came on October the 7th. And people have tried to justify that by the living conditions in Gaza. But there is nothing that justifies the brutality and the things that they did. I believe it is pure evil, and that we've got to stand against it. You know, I've also been to Auschwitz twice, and I've actually seen furniture, lamps, tables, and chairs that were made from human skin. And I've been in the gas chambers, and I've stood there, and I've seen the ovens where they burned people. And I tell you, it was just pure evil. And what's happening in Hamas is the same spirit. And if we don't stand against it and stop this, I guarantee you, it's just going to continue. I've got a good friend of mine, Mohammed Faridi, that's here, right here. And Mohammed was raised in Iran and, of course, was taught to hate Jews. But, man, he found the Lord. Now he's totally turned around, a big supporter. But Mohammed made it very clear that the radical Islamic thing, there is no such thing as peace. And I tell you, Hamas, I believe, is the worst part of this, and they are out to destroy people. Muhammad also said that the Muslims have a saying about Friday, then Saturday, and then Sunday, implying Friday is the day that they worship, And then Saturday, of course, is the Jewish day, and Sunday is Christian. And he was saying that, man, they hate everything that's not Islam, and they hate the Jews. If they prevail against the Jews, they'll be coming against the Christians. And Israel believe that they have the right to defend themselves. And I tell you, there's been criticism against this civilians that are being killed in Gaza, but I guarantee you it's really the fault of Hamas. They're the ones that are using them as hostages. They're the ones that have refused, even at gunpoint, to allow people to go south. And they are forcing them to be there, putting their weapons and their headquarters underneath hospitals and schools. And we hate any civilian to be injured in this, but Hamas is evil. I believe it has to be stopped, and there is no tolerating it. Their own charter says that they believe in the annihilation of Israel, and we can't tolerate that. So I just want to say, for me and all the people that we represent, that we are definitely for Israel. We are supportive. Praise God. I agree that we are winning this battle, and praise God, hopefully here in Colorado Springs we're going to see people support Israel, and that the Jewish population will not be intimidated and not be afraid here. We are here to support you. And if there's anything else that we can do to support you, please ask, because we are on your side.
Thank you so much to each and every one of you for being here today. The organizers, it's amazing to send out a message from Colorado Springs, Colorado, to the world that we are firm, we are standing with Israel, we are united. I'm so grateful, I'm so proud to live in Colorado Springs, where it's safe to be a Jew. Yet it took 24 hours, it took just one day for everybody to realize we are one nation under God. There is no more right, there is no more left, there is no more government, there's no more religious, there's no more secular. The feeling in Israel is our nation is fighting this war, and the general in command is God Himself. You might be far away from Israel physically, but there's so much we can do here in Colorado Springs today. I need to share with you. So IDF soldiers get rations, MRI meals to eat wherever they are, if it's in Gaza or whatever they are. They don't taste really great. So they take a can of tuna and oil, and they put a little match inside. As his old tradition goes, he throws a match inside to make it taste smoked. His battle buddies say, "What are you doing? We have live ammunition here." So he starts panicking. He takes the tuna and he throws it as far as he can. IDF soldiers hear an explosion. Tuna landing in the terror tunnel where the terrorists were getting ready to ambush the IDF soldiers. God is on our side. God is on the side of the good. He is protecting us. Thank you.
And for righteousness, and to fight for it. And we need to fight for it, because this is a war, and you need to take a side. If you ever wondered how you would have acted during the Holocaust, this is your test. If you ever wondered, you can prove it out now. This is a do-over. This is a do-over for the church to stand up the way that they should have before. Will you stand with the Jewish people? Will you stand with Israel? No matter the cost. I know about terrorism very personally, and what it's like to be targeted just because I am a Jew. I also understand the fortitude that it takes to be an Israeli, to not wallow in fear, but to muster the resolve to mentally and emotionally keep on living. and living in the land. To not run away, but to become an Israeli citizen, to move there with my wife, to raise my children there. And I also know what it's like to seek to forgive that misguided young woman who almost murdered me that day. Honestly, that's probably the hardest part. To all of you who have come out to our seat of government today to stand with Israel and against anti-Semitism, whether you be Christian or Jew or Muslim or of another religion, or maybe don't consider yourself religious at all, thank you. For those of you who are here who believe that Israel is an occupier, or for those of you who have to prepare to talk to people who believe that Israel is an occupier of the land and not its historically rightful owner, that they are an apartheid state committing genocide against Arabs in Gaza and the West Bank, that they don't want peace with their neighbors and the rest of the world, and thereby you believe that the brutal rape, torture, murder, and hostage-taking of men, women, and children that Hamas did on October 7th is absolutely justified, and that genocidal calls for intifada and liberation of Israel from the river to the sea are absolutely fine. I'd ask you, please, get off TikTok. Get out of your bubble. Read some actual documented history about both the ancient nation and the modern state of Israel. Get educated, seek truth, light, that you might have a change of heart. Teshuvah.
I'm privileged today to represent Congressman Doug Lamborn and to express that right here in the heart of the 5th Congressional District, support for Israel is not just a passing fad. Support for Israel is not just a moment of outrage. And our support for Israel is more than political expediency. See, Congressman Doug Lamborn has supported Israel from the very beginning. It's a lifelong commitment. I'm proud to be able to work for and represent a congressman who is the founder of the Taylor Swift Act. He's the one who sponsored to make sure that there wasn't American funds that would be reimbursing families of those who sacrificed themselves to kill Israeli citizens. In addition to that, Congressman Lamborn, as the chairman of the Strategic Forces, advocated single-handedly doubling the funds that were necessary to get the Iron Dome operational. And that Iron Dome is right now shooting down the rockets and the missiles that are not only saving the lives of Jews, but they're saving the lives of Arabs and Palestinian Israelis.
And on that very holiday that we celebrate these words that are the heart of the Jewish people, thousands of Hamas terrorists came through the fence, attacked, raped, and pillaged and murdered. As I started looking at the messages on my phone, I saw that there was a theme among those messages. Just this past June was my most recent trip to Israel, and I spent most of my time there along the Gaza envelope, along the border communities next to Gaza. We plant trees and build parks, very controversial. We build community centers and we build places where Arabs and Jews can work together. In the last 2 months, we've heard so much news about the war. And sometimes we've had set aside in a much shameful way those who were killed and those who are still hostages. They seem to be the forgotten ones. And it's important for all of us also to mourn the loss of every single Palestinian who is not a supporter of Hamas, because Hamas is using them as human shields. And so their memories also are a blessing to us, and we remember them as well. Now, I've been told from those who were protesting, those of us who were at the conference in Denver last week, who told me they were having a peaceful conference or a peaceful protest. It was very peaceful. I'll tell you, the first thing a protester said to me as I walked into the conference, they said, "Go back home to Auschwitz." My daughter, who's a college freshman, as she walked into the conference for the first time, she heard Hitler was right, he should have finished the job. I understand that there are a couple of Christians in the crowd today. protesters told me that Israel is a country created by colonizers who came, these Jews from Europe in 1948, and took over this land. Now, I'm a rabbi, but I know there's Christians in the crowd, so I just want to make sure I'm clear about this. This Jesus guy, he was Jewish, right? And he was born in a place called Israel a long time before 1948. And if, as I've studied, I haven't studied as well as some of the pastors, but in some of these gospels that I've looked at, it tells me that this Jesus man interacted with some people, they were called rabbis in Israel 2,000 years ago, a long time before 1948. So this idea of people coming out and saying these colonizers came and took over our country about 70 years ago, and then they tell me, and I'm a good Christian, and I said, have you read your Christian Bible? Now let's be honest with ourselves. There are several million Palestinians who live in Gaza and in the West Bank, and we, the Jewish people, the American people, the Israeli people, the world, we need to figure out how to live together because we can't move millions of people from one place to another. Jews are not going to leave Israel, and the Palestinians are not going to leave where they live. And so we need to figure out a way for all of us to live together. But that way is not terrorism. That way is not taking hostages. That way is not speaking words of hatred. That way is this, finding a way of building together. I'll tell you my vision. My vision is this. There's a country called Saudi Arabia. They have a lot of money. Okay, so they're not my favorite country in the world, I'll admit. A lot of their money comes from oil, and as technology is going on, I'm not so sure that oil is going to be the best investment 20 or 30 years from now. But you know what I think is a good investment? For the Arabs in Saudi Arabia to take all of that oil money and meet with the Jews in Israel who are, as we call it, the startup nation. But before that happens, we must rid the world of the terrorists. Right now, there are 137 hostages who live in darkness in Gaza. We believe that most of them, if not all of them, are inside those tunnels. Every hostage we bring home is one more light that we bring into the world. Charge to every one of you today. I want you to be the shamash. I want you to be the candle that lights the other lights. If we let the light in our souls shine out into the world, we make the world a better place. And the light of our souls shining into the world lights up the souls of others.